How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at The Low, Low Woods. This is from DC Comics Black Label. For those of you guys who don't know, Black Label is a new DC line with the idea of giving writers and artists more freedom. These are less censored. They're also more often limited series, so you can actually, have an ending. But also you don't have to worry about connecting them to main DC continuity. You can do whatever you want, and the Hill House books aren't really in DC continuity, so it doesn't really matter for this. But speaking of the Hill House books, this is also from Joe Hill's Hill House Comics, which comic writer Joe Hill, a lot of people know him for Lock and Key. He put out Hill House Comics to have a line where he could produce a bunch of horror stories. Now, he wrote some of them, but not all of them. He did pick them out, and he's essentially like an editor, but he didn't write this one. He did write some of them, though. So, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Credit where credit is due. Let's open this up. All these have this really cool, wall motif. I'm not sure what's up with that. Title page, and credit where the credit is due. We get Carmen Maria Machado as the writer, Dani as the artist, and Tamra Bonvillain as the colorist, Steve Wands as the letterer, and Sam Wolf Conley as the cover artist, except for cover 1, which is J.A.W. Cooper. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the plot. No major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points, and I do want you guys to have a basic understanding as to what the book's about. We open up, kind of ironically, with the end, so I thought that was a fun little twist there. They're at a movie theater, and these two girls, Elle and Octavia, are waking up. They have apparently slept through the whole movie, but this isn't really sitting well with Elle. You see, rather than sleeping, it feels like they had a chunk of their memory gone. Like, she doesn't think that they just fell asleep. It feels like something happened and they don't know what. She throws up, and she also notices she has mud on her shoes, and she feels that they left the theater and just don't remember what happened. Fun little note, the movie poster for Seven right there. This doesn't come out and hit you in the face with it, but this is set in the 90s. They talk to Josh, who works at the theater, and he goes, "Oh, you were the only two people in there, you never left, nothing happened." But of course, he ominously goes, "Did you enjoy the movie?" and puts on the freaking evil face. So, they could have just played it innocently and walked out of it, but had to do that. That gives you away if you make an evil face. But anyway, funnily enough, the movie that they're watching is Sea Dogs. If you'd bought the individual issues, Sea Dogs was a few pages at the end of every book, and they kind of, formed a big long story. But the two girls ride away on their bike, and you see that they're in this mining town where no one's mining anymore because of a horrific accident, but more on that in a minute. They ride their bike and eventually crash a rabbit in the road, but when they look up, they see the mysterious deer woman. So things are going pretty strange around this town. First, a lot of time missing, and then a deer woman. After that, they begin to go, okay, something is up. What do we do about it? How can we tell what happened? And after that, we get a little bit of backstory to this town. You see, this is a really tough place. The town, it kind of reminds me of like a mixture between Derry, Maine and Twin Peaks. You get the whole Derry attitude of there's something going on and no one wants to talk about it, and it's deep and dark, but you also get fun, weird, crazy things, and I'll get to those more in a minute, that are kind of like, Twin Peaks oddities. But anyway, it talks about how it was a mining town. The guys would always get sick and have coughs, and they would be in horrible health, and it would, even the woman who didn't go on the mines would still feel the effects of it. The soot would cloud the air, but there started to be this thing where there was apparently something in the water, and women would wake up, and there's a woman who's found bruises on her lower abdomen. They would wake up and not remember what happened, and these, large chunks of memory, women wandering around and waking up in a weird place, and no one really knows why or what happened. They always just filed it under medical oddities. But one day, a bunch of men and women disappeared, the mines exploded, and they're still on fire to this day, and that put a lot of people out of work. So a town with a pretty deep and dark history. But the rest of the book, they go around and you meet the town, you meet the characters, you meet the oddities, and you start to, really understand this strange and crazy world it sets up. And it's pretty fun, but it's a little meandery. And I guess let's go ahead and talk about some of the major pros. First and foremost, I really love this setting of a weird, old, run-down mining town. There are several cool things about it, the backstory and the way it's always deep and dark and just barely hidden. But there are some other cool set pieces. There's a place called Heaven on Earth, which was an old resort that got closed down, and now all the kids are partying in this, there's a mostly empty pool, there's a big building, and Octavia's father is actually, or is it Elle's father? I think it's Elle's father is building a model of this place, which is really cool. But it's not just the town. They're the weird things that happen in the town. You get this young girl who everybody says is actually a witch and way older than she looks, and they can go to her and ask for advice or potions. There's a bunch of creepy men that run around in the outskirts of town that look a little bit like Uncle Frank from Hellraiser. That guy with all his skin ripped off. I don't want to show you a spoily picture of them, so I'll go to this back cover here. Yeah. And you also get Octavia's girlfriend in the middle of the night. A mysterious sinkhole seems to open up in her stomach, so there are, quite a few strange things with this town. Oh, and yeah, the deer woman, of course. Crazy cool monster there. So I did like the abandoned town with all these crazy oddities. And I guess I should also talk about the characters. Now, these characters, the young girls that are in a town and they don't like the town they live in, and they want to leave or change things and stuff. Now, these type of characters, I feel like 9 times out of 10 they come off as, these cheesy, edgy teenage characters, but Elle and Octavia are the 1 in the 10 where these type of characters actually work. So many times the young, rebellious teenage character just doesn't play out well, and I feel that the Low Woods is one of the few times where you actually know and get behind them. I feel like I a lot of my friends in high school and college, a lot of the tropes and character elements in here do kind of remind me of them. Some people said they didn't like the characters. I don't know. I felt they were really well defined and pretty cool. Another thing, though, with this book that I guess should be brought up, and this is what a lot of people are talking about with it, is it does tackle some, trendy topics. In particular, it does talk about feminism. And if you guys know the way a lot of media is going, there's tragically a lot of these fake feminist films out lately where, it's a big studio. They don't really care about the issue at all. They're just trying to use it to make money, and you get tons and tons of, cheesy, poorly written stuff under the guise of feminism. But this is actually a really good story. It's not afraid to go deep and dark, and it really uses these ideas to its benefit. But a lot of people, when they see it starts to go that way, they just assume it's going to be like all the other stuff, the fake feminist movies put out by Hollywood these days. But I feel this actually really does this theme pretty well. And yeah, when I talk about going dark, there's a 17 rating on the back of this for a reason. It's not afraid to talk about some deep and dark issues. And there's several times when reading this book, I just, took a breath and was like, wow, that's messed up. So it's a cool small town with a mystery book. I really did dig this. Now, I know some people say that out of the Hill House comics, I think there's 5 right now, some people said that this was the worst one. And I don't know, maybe the story or the characters just didn't really click with them. I personally I got into this. Now, this isn't over-the-top, in-your-face, grungy horror. It's more, like I said, that, Twin Peaks is actually not as quirky and over-the-top as David Lynch, but a weird town in the middle of nowhere that's not going to question having a witch in it, That's the kind of weird story that this is, and the horror is really more finding out the town's terrible, terrible dark side, and it's not just spelled out for you, and there's a lot of stuff that it doesn't explicitly say happened in here, but the audience is smart enough to put 2 and 2 together and go, oh, does that mean, oh, that's terrible. And it really is a cool, really dark story there, and it really does impact you. Now, as far as flaws, there's only 2 things. One, which is kind of minor, is the text where the character is talking to the audience, the narration. It switches where it starts off as L and then it goes to Octavia and it alternates between the issues, but there's no text color difference. Usually it'd be like one character's in a red box, one's in a yellow, so it takes a minute to go, oh wait, this is a different narrator. It's, like I said, a very minor issue. The other issue is kind of with the pacing. You go into this, it's a really cool world. It gets a little meandery in the middle, and then issue 5, if you guys saw The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix, this also got a similar criticism, where issue 5, they finally get a character talking, and it's this big backstory issue, and it explains everything in this one big go. Now, a lot of people for stories like to have the backstory sprinkled in slowly. But that being said, it's more realistic that when you get one character talking, everything would just come out. But at the same time, is that the best story structure, So it's like, what is this? It gets a little meandery, and all of a sudden, here's everything with this crazy story in issue 5. So maybe not the best pacing there. But overall, I really did like it. Another thing I should mention, and this isn't anything about the story, but this release, I should throw out that it has this thin dust jacket, and it's kind of cool because you can see a little bit through it. So there's the front and there's the back, and you can see the under image, but it's a little bit brittle. I actually did crack it right there on my first day of handling it. It's just me reaching for it the wrong way. But it's a little bit brittle, so I'd recommend taking this off if you want to travel with it. I'll show you the under image there. the Low Woods in cursive with the DC Black label. No Hill House Comics label, no credits, and absolutely nothing on the spine. And then there's the back with your main characters there. But anyway, yeah, a few minor faults, but I actually really did like this story, and I really did get invested in the world, and I really did want to read it faster than I was able to. Been getting pulled a million different places lately doing a bunch of work, but I did like coming back and sitting down and reading the story. Is pretty fun, and I already have another one of these, and I'm gonna try to work my way through all the Hill House comics. I like this one. I thought it was pretty cool. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom if you want to see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom for more comics.